Yeah, it finally made it.
Good night. In my head and something ain't right. Just me. Am I standing on the edge of the end of time? They're over at the tent with the music. We're gonna get a cigarette.
We are live, I think.
Ah, we
It,
ah.
it's been a few days. I've been depending on Q and Dustin to the real time media to carry the load, high scooter, and they've done an admirable job. Is last week or so, and that's not going to
That's
work.
right.
But I wanted to get back on the horse and get going again because I know the longer I put it off, the harder it'll be to get started again. And like
Making my way.
and
Hey, we're going mobile. Go ahead, keep going.
I want to thank everybody for their good wishes and condolences. My dad, appreciate it, and your thoughts and your prayers. Thank you very much for all that. And
It's like the barrel.
it's been hard to think about getting back and doing streams again. But, I decided tonight would be a good time to push myself to do that instead of just sitting here at the house thinking about it. Trying to clean out some things a little bit at a time and getting the house straightened around and getting things sorted out. But I'm also trying to get back to my own routine and trying to do things to kind of push myself along to get back to doing live streams and writing and get kind of get back to normal and figure out how my time's going to go now and my schedule and get all the legal stuff wrapped up as much as we can between now and February of 2024. And that way, all that we have to do is finish out the paperwork and the whole estate will be taken care of. But so trying to get things back on an even keel and get it situated around where I can go down and spend more time at camp with Q and Dustin and the dogs and
Oh, yeah, I had the mute on. There we are.
yeah, I know you had the mute on.
Well, I did that because you were talking. Because I snuck up on somebody that didn't want to be heard.
Hi, Mom and Jan. And need to turn down.
You got her speaker up. I'm glad she's watching so I can get everything on the tripod here.
Yeah, you need to turn your music box down a little bit.
It's Dustin's job.
Oh, I thought he was down supervising the fire barrel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta have music for the fire barrel.
I had a good surprise last night or yesterday afternoon. Q and Dustin and Mama Jan and Buddy all made a day trip from Camp Freedom up on the mountain here to the house, and we had a good visit and got to see a little bit of the area here and had a good supper, and it was nice to have everybody here with us for the evening or in the afternoon. It was a lot of fun.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, wait a minute? Hi, Deanna.
Freedom! Reading penthouse.
Hi, Richard Jr., Deanna, Private Freedom. Good to see everybody here with us this evening and all of our lurkers. Glad you could join us for about an hour this evening. Just enjoying a cool evening before the summer heat kicks in. Had some thunderstorms here last night that the dogs didn't think much of. The 1776 Camp Freedom, close to Martinsburg, West Virginia. Yeah, Scooter, it was it got all the way up to 65 today. It was almost time to turn the heat back on this morning instead of the air conditioner. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty nice this weekend or this week, Scooter. They should get a good bit of work done because it's not supposed to have any rain till later on in the week. Well, hi from Missouri, Deanna. Glad to see you could join us in the Facebook group. Just getting some of the old stumps and whatnot cleared up. And that way you're using the fire barrel. That way they don't have to worry about the grass being dry, even though it's still pretty green there. Yeah, Mama Jan's visiting us from Sacramento, California. She'll be with us for a few more days, and then she'll be back home. It's been really great to be able to spend time with her and get to know her in person and not just online. Oh, I'm still here, Scooter. That's kind of scary to see a man of Dustin's size jumping up and down like that. Yeah, Scooter, Mom, I really enjoyed talking to Mama Jan and getting to know her. And I've known a lot of people for 10, 15, 20 years online. Never got a chance to meet them in person, but it's really great to meet, be able to meet people in person, and really get to know them.
Over here, said the music's not quite as loud.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about anything else.
How's that? Is that look quieter?
Yeah, that's quieter.
Yeah, we got it up too high now.
A little bit.
When we get down to the lower level, it'll help. How about that?
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. I'm away from the tent.
Well, Deanna, where they're building a campground where there's access to a lot of national battlegrounds and monuments, and 2 hours out of DC. So you can actually make it a day trip. Plus, there's lots of other attractions around there. You're not too far from Harper's Ferry, and a lot of great educational things because a lot of Civil War battles were fought in the Shenandoah Valley. So there's a lot to do in that area, and it's going to be a small campground, mainly for patriots, but anybody's welcome. And we've got some electric hooked up. We're going to get a little more electric hooked up, and we're having a guy come in this week to take a look at the well to see if we can rehab the well we have or if we have to drill another one. They're putting their plans together for another electric panel, and we're going to set up to make hookups. I think we're thinking the area of somewhere between 5 and 20 sites. I'm somewhere in that area. They're working on leveling out some places. It's sometimes hard to find level spots in West Virginia, so you got to work with what you have. And we'll be working on putting in a drain field for sewage, and so we can put in showers. So it's a work in progress. Hi, see for freedom. Glad to see you. Right now, there's no charge for staying. It's mostly boondocking, though. We have a couple of electrical hookups available. People come in, help out, clearing brush, and helping with the leveling and things like that, and just doing some work here and there. You can just sit back and enjoy the company and hang out in the shade and the quiet, mostly quiet. So, the one night I was there at 4:30, and somebody needed to tell the roosters that we're on daylight savings time now. They started crowing about 4:30 in the morning instead of the usual 5:30. They got their clocks a little
or something. Nowadays, they just crow all day long.
Yeah, but they started at 4:30 in the morning there that one night.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I got to stump in.
And you can't stuff much more in there. And what's really cool about this place is it's well, we're working with 6 acres at the moment, but we're sitting on a 65-acre plot that's right in the middle of 2 housing developments. So there's houses all around, but we're in this kind of an oasis in the middle of a small city. So you're not very far from grocery stores and restaurants and things like that. You're not very far from modern conveniences was the term I was trying to think of. But you're out in the country where it's quiet and, you can stand around and holler like they do, or, just, do as you please pretty much. And if you enjoy shooting, target shooting and whatnot, there's 2 shooting ranges within a 5-mile radius that you can enjoy that. And it's a really nice area. That's there's a lot of apple orchards and truck farms where you can get a lot of fresh produce. And it's the only bad thing about it is suburbs from DC are starting to encroach, and a lot of the great big apple orchards have been sold to developers, and they're putting up their little ticky-tack houses. But it's still a nice area. There's a lot of older people there. For being 2 hours from DC, it's still pretty red. So it hasn't gone the woke liberal type of area like some of the ticky-tacks are down around Alexandria and Fairfax. Oh, I'm glad to hear Ray's doing well. Maybe that was all he needed, was a little extra stimulation. He needed to get out and about a little bit. It was good to see him, good to have him for a couple of days there to visit and celebrate Dustin's birthday and Memorial Day. It was good having y'all there. And Mama Jan was saying that she had missed hearing me read because it's probably been a good 10 days or so. So we're gonna take a little time here. We're gonna put these guys on mute since the music keeps coming in. We got a couple of things here that we can go through, and we need to get over here to this. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the 1787 Constitutional Convention with the newsletter that comes out of the National Center for Constitutional Studies. And it was held on, or officially started on May 25th of 1787. George Washington was unanimously elected as president, and Major William Jackson of South Carolina had been employed as secretary. However, this role ultimately fell to James Madison, as Jackson was not really qualified to handle such an arduous task. Madison eagerly assumed the role and occupied a desk at the front of the room so that he could take detailed notes of the entire convention. Each night after that day's session ended, Madison reviewed his notes and filled in as many details as he could recall. This consistent schedule left him overworked and fatigued. We are indebted to Madison for his tireless efforts because his notes have survived as the most complete and detailed account of what took place at the convention. Each state, except for Rhode Island, sent delegates to the convention at some point or another. This was a miracle because many attempts to call for a convention in the past had failed. The states were constantly bickering, and many believed a convention would be marginally successful at best. Finally, in February of 1787, Congress officially invited each state to send delegates to Philadelphia for a convention that was scheduled to begin on May 14th. Although this was a step forward, no funding was given for the delegates to attend, which required them to pay their own way. This was especially difficult for some, including James Madison, who lived on borrowed money. Additionally, it looked doubtful that George Washington would attend. Many believed without his presence, the convention would fail. Although Washington had strongly encouraged the idea of a convention previously, he had declined the invitation to attend in May. His brother had just died, his mother and sisters were seriously ill, and he was in immense pain from rheumatism, which resulted in him getting little sleep. Furthermore, he had just declined an invitation from the Society of the Cincinnati, who wanted to honor him at their convention in Philadelphia during the same time. He felt that to suddenly show up to another convention in the same city would be embarrassing and show a lack of respect for the society. However, Washington ultimately decided to attend, which greatly increased the credibility of the convention. Of the 55 delegates that participated in one way or another during the convention, 2 were college presidents, William S. Johnson and Abraham Baldwin. 3 were or had been college professors, George Wythe, or Wythe, because there is a town in Virginia called Wytheville, James Wilson, and William C. Houston. 4 had studied law in England. 31 were members of the legal profession, several of them being judges. 9 had been born in foreign countries and knew the oppressions of Europe from firsthand experience. 28 had served in Congress, and most of the rest had served in state legislatures. 19 or more had served in the Army, 17 as officers, and 4 on Washington's staff. Dr. Samuel Eliot Morison of Harvard noted that practically every American who had useful ideas on political science was there except John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who were on foreign missions, and John Jay, who was busy with foreign relations of the Confederation. Jefferson contributed indirectly by shipping to Madison and Wythe from Paris sets of the Polybius and other ancient publicists who discoursed on the theory of mixed government on which the Constitution was based. The political literature of Greece and Rome were a positive and quickening influence on the convention debates. A distinctive quality of this convention was the youthfulness of most of its participants. The average age was about 41. 5, including Charles Piccaninny, were under 30. 1, Alexander Hamilton, was 32. 3, James Madison, Gouverneur Morris, and Edmund Randolph were within the year of being 35. 3, Washington, John Dickinson, and George Wythe were 55. Only 4 members had passed 60, and Benjamin Franklin at 81 was the oldest member by a gap of 15 years. Among the 55 delegates who attended, 15 were particularly influential in directing the creation of the Constitution. These were George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Edmund Randolph, Alexander Hamilton, Gouverneur Morris, Robert Morris, George Mason, George Wythe, James Wilson, James Dickinson, Roger Sherman, John Rutledge, Charles Pinckney, Charles Cotesworth Pinckney. Practically all of the delegates came to the convention with the specific intent of amending the Articles of Confederation. James Madison may have been the only exception. He had given considerable thought to the possibility of abandoning the Articles and creating an entirely different type of constitution. Since the convention was originally scheduled to start on May 14th, Madison had an opportunity to present his ideas to the Virginia delegation before the convention officially started on May 25th. Madison ultimately convinced them that the only option was to replace the Articles with an entirely new form of government. Washington readily saw the wisdom in Madison's proposal, but cautioned that unless they felt certain about their proposal, it would be difficult to defend during the debates and the subsequent state ratifying conventions. Having convinced the Virginia delegation that an entirely new system was needed, they began formulating resolutions that they wanted in the new Constitution. These resolutions became known as Virginia's 15 Resolves and later formed the basic agenda for the Constitutional Convention. While the original draft of the 15 Resolves has never been found, a later working copy of the original, dated June 13th of 1787, has survived. When the convention finally started, several interesting rules were introduced by George Wythe and adopted by the convention. Here is a summary. The proceedings were to be conducted in secret. This was to prevent false rumors or misinformation from spreading across the country while the founders were still threshing out the formula which would solve the problems plaguing the nation. Guards were posted at the doors and no one was admitted without signed credentials. Each state was to be allowed one vote, and the majority of the delegation from the state had to be present and in agreement in order to have the vote counted. Many times during the proceedings, a poll was taken of the individual delegates to see how they stood, but the rule was adopted that none of these votes were to be recorded lest delegates be embarrassed if they later changed their minds as the discussion progressed. Each delegate could speak only twice on each issue until after everyone else was given an opportunity to speak, and no one could speak more than twice without special permission of the convention members. Everyone was expected to pay strict attention to what was being said. There was to be no reading of papers, books, or documents while someone was speaking. All remarks were to be addressed to the president of the convention and not the members of the convention. This was to avoid heated polemics between individuals engaging in direct confrontation. The convention then followed procedure which greatly facilitated informal discussion of each issue. It resolved itself into a committee of the whole. George Washington stepped down from the chair, and Nathaniel Gorham replaced him as chairman of the committee of the whole. The discussion then continued based on an informal committee instead of a formal convention. At any time, they could resolve themselves back into the convention and formally vote on the matter previously decided in the committee. This was done to encourage extensive discussion and numerous straw ballots to see how they were progressing. During the committee of the whole, no record was officially kept of the vote to allow all parties to freely express their opinions. The goal was to obtain a general agreement whenever possible, not just a mere majority. They would talk it out until practically everyone felt satisfied. This is illustrated by the discussions of how to choose senators. the Virginia Resolves wanted the House of Representatives to select senators. Apparently, the Virginia delegation was finally persuaded to change its mind because the record says the vote in favor of having senators appointed by the state legislatures was approved unanimously. While consensus was the goal, which they largely achieved, there were three major issues that were finally resolved only by a compromise. These issues were slavery, the regulation of commerce, and the apportionment of representation for each state. All three of these problems were worked out through a compromise, since a consensus or general agreement could not be reached. While working through a maze of issues presented before the committee, a new proposal was introduced by William Paterson to scrap the Virginia Resolves and go back to patching up the Articles of Confederation. Paterson felt this plan, which came to be known as the New Jersey Plan, would be more favorable to the smaller states. After detailing his plan, James Wilson of Virginia spent an entire day comparing the Virginia Plan with the New Jersey Plan. In a nutshell, here's a comparison of the main points of these two plans. The Virginia Plan had two branches for the legislature. The New Jersey Plan had a single legislative body. The legislative powers derived from the people in Virginia, while in New Jersey, the legislative powers derived from the state. In Virginia Plan, you had a single executive. In New Jersey, more than one. In Virginia, a majority of the legislature can act, while the New Jersey Plan said a small minority can control the legislature. It figures coming out of New Jersey. The Virginia Plan removes the executive by impeachment. The New Jersey Plan removes the president upon application of a majority of the states. The Virginia plans allow the establishment of inferior federal courts, and the New Jersey Plan had no provision for courts. While the convention was contemplating the two different plans, Alexander Hamilton suddenly arose and presented an entirely different plan of his own. He said it was too dangerous to tread untried waters. It would be best to go back to the British pattern, he recommended, a single executive chosen for life by electors from the state. He wanted the president to have an absolute veto over any legislation similar to a veto power of the King of England. Senators were also to be chosen for life, similar to the English House of Lords. The House of Representatives would be chosen by the people for a term of 3 years. Governors of the states would be appointed by the federal government, just as the King of England did before the Revolution. Madison noted that Hamilton's plan was approved by all and supported by none. In other words, everyone respected Hamilton and didn't want to embarrass him, but knew his plan would not work. It was not even discussed, let alone voted upon. On June 19th, a moving speech was given by James Madison, in which he said the convention must come up with a constitution for the ages, and only the Virginia Plan would stand the test of time. Immediately afterwards, the New Jersey Plan was voted down, and Hamilton's plan was abandoned. Hamilton returned to New York soon after, but did come back before the convention adjourned. The period between June 19th and July 26th is known as the crisis period. During this time, the convention tried to probe some of the more delicate questions which had previously been postponed. On June 28th, during an especially heated debate, the 81-year-old Benjamin Franklin made his famous plea for prayer. He urged the convention to remember the many prayers offered during the contest with Britain and reminded them that they were graciously answered. He then begged that the convention would employ the services of clergy to implore the assistance of heaven and its blessings on their deliberations. Franklin's motion to invite a minister to serve as the chaplain and offer daily prayers did not pass for the single reason that the professional ministers required payment for their prayers, and the convention had no money to pay for the same. Nevertheless, his plea had a sobering effect on the quarreling delegates, and they set about their task with greater determination. Another difficult issue enveloped the convention between July 10th and July 16th. Just trying to decide how the president should be elected required over 60 ballots. During this dark period, Washington wrote, "I almost despair of seeing a favorable issue to the proceedings of the convention, and do therefore repent having had any agency in the business." It was on this date, July 10th, that the two remaining delegates from New York, Lansing and Yates, left the convention and never returned. Nevertheless, a big breakthrough came through on July 16th when the convention finally agreed to a formula for the allocation of representation in Congress. The small states had been determined to have one vote for each state as provided in the Articles of Confederation. The larger states had insisted this representation should be according to the population. Georgia argued that this would give the big state of Virginia 16 times more representatives than Georgia. Madison argued back that if each state had one vote, then a person from Georgia had 16 times more representation than a citizen of Virginia. Both sides finally agreed to accept a suggestion of Roger Sherman of Connecticut that each state have equal representation in the Senate, but that the House of Representatives should be apportioned to each state according to population. This suggestion was made 3 separate times during the heated debates before it was finally accepted. Finally, on July 26th, the principal issues had been sufficiently settled to put the Constitution into a rough form. A committee on detail was appointed with the instructions to have its report completed by August 6th. From August 6th to September the 8th, the convention hammered out many more important details which needed refining. By this time, 11 of the 55 delegates had gone home. However, Hamilton had returned but could not vote because Yates and Lansing had left, leaving New York without a quorum. On September 8th, the amended rough draft from the Committee on Detail was turned over to the Special Committee on Style to do a final rewrite. Most of the rewrite was done in 4 days by Gouverneur Morris, a highly skilled lawyer and writer who was a delegate from Pennsylvania. When the new draft was read to the convention, some of the delegates raised new issues, one of them being the lack of a Bill of Rights. However, most of the delegates were satisfied with the draft as written, and therefore the Constitution was turned over to a skilled penman to be inscribed in its final form. This penman remained unknown for 150 years until in 1937, John C. Fitzpatrick of the Library of Congress proved that the penman was Jacob Schallis, a young German who had volunteered to serve under Washington in the Revolutionary War. He later became assistant clerk of the Pennsylvania Assembly. On Monday, September 17, 1787, a total of 41 of the original 55 delegates solemnly met in the East Room of Independence Hall for the signing. Because a few delegates still had some significant reservations, Franklin asked that the Constitution be signed by a majority of each delegation so that they could say that it was by unanimous consent of all the states represented. This was done. The following delegates did not sign: Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts, George Mason of Virginia, Governor Edmund Randolph of Virginia. Their main objection was that the Constitution did not include a Bill of Rights. The other delegates came forward, however, and affixed their names. It is recorded that when Franklin signed, The old man wept. Later, as the last delegates were signing, Franklin referred to a picture of the sun on the back of George Washington's chair. He said, "I have, often in the course of the session, looked at that sun behind the president without being able to tell whether it was rising or setting. But now at length I have the happiness to know that it is a rising and not a setting sun." As the famous convention came to a close, it was as though a great battle had been won. But the Constitution still had to go to the Congress and the people. This meant that the great intellectual battle to get the American Charter of Liberty established in the hearts and minds of the American people still had to be fought. And get back over here where it's now getting dark and the fire's looking good. Hi, Slim.
Hi, Pops. Yeah. So.
Hi, Charlene. Good to see you.
Oh, getting dark over here, ain't it?
Rose 62. Glad to see you with us this evening. Say hi to Ron for us.
Huh?
Hi, Ron.
Good night, Scooter. Stopping in.
Night, Scooter.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Let's see. I think we can get to a little different angle. Got some at the fire glass. It's okay. No, it's only good. Let me put it over here. Here. This side. That way you can see the tent.
And the lights are looking good in the tent. It looks like somebody lives here.
Look at these fine level spot. There we go. That's level enough.
Yeah, Yellow Rose, it's a really nice night. Temperatures in the low 60s, high 50s, clear.
Clear as a bell.
Full moon was last night, the strawberry moon.
The dogs are talking. It's a really bad place for a signal. How about that shot?
Yes, that's a good shot.
Sammy can't get to the top. I'm too close to get to the top.
You got the black flag and the Gadsden flag and the West Virginia flag and the American flag.
The Americans up there. Oh, that's even better. I want the what do they call it? Screenshot. There's a good one.
Oh, let's see. There's my button.
Yeah.
That's the sky. That's that sky.
Where's the one?
Yeah, there's like one thing after that, skin.
Let me see. Oh yeah, that came out good.
Okay, good. Everybody got a chance. Swing back over here. How about that? 10.
That actually works.
All right. Right.
We'll just- what is it you're pointing at? I see the American flag there in the window.
Get a little more sky in that.
Charlene said, what about using pecker poles for the other flags? I hate to be naive, but what's a pecker pole?
That might have been spell check. I don't know. I don't know what it is either.
I mean, your mind can go to the gutter and come up with a lot of things.
Say, not even sure I want to guess. Mama, dude.
He said Packer.
That's all
Over
right.
there.
My brain went there too.
Good God. Quick, change the door rating. Adults only.
Oh, skinny trees about 30 feet tall and used to peel them and make fences. Oh, okay.
Locust trees, what we use around here.
Yeah, because
Actually, we're burning a few of them right now.
I never heard them called that. That's a new one.
Two down there. So, okay, battery gone. So. Sit.
Where did you go?
I'm there. They're looking at the fireflies. Can't see them.
It's dark. There it is.
Flies have to be real close to see them on the camera. Like bugs, you're right.
Oh, you're looking at lightning bugs. Okay.
Sparks there. That's a firefly.
From the fire.
From the fire. That's why they're called fire. Those down there are lightning bugs. Just because you are. I can't help myself, Richard. Call them lightning bugs fireflies. With all that stuff right there coming out of the fire going up in the air, that's fireflies. It's named appropriately.
Shirley wants to know what you thought about this picture she sent.
How,
Are you talking about the lazy boy picture? Yesterday?
the lazy boy picture from yesterday.
Slimming. What?
Dustin's talking about a picture. I don't think I've seen it yet.
Yeah, I showed you.
Oh, yeah.
Slim and Dexter.
Oh, okay. You know about Slim and Dexter, Shirley? That's the one he showed me.
It's going to be X-rated now.
Look over there. Looks like some kind of secret meeting going on.
And I hate my phone when it just stops.
No, she said about the property.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's been a while. Yeah, I love it. Looks good. Sorry, I didn't remember, but you sent them a week or so ago. It took me a minute to remember.
Well, lots been happening since then.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little
Yeah.
bit.
When I talked to Dennis today, he didn't know about my dad. I've known Dennis for as long as we've been married, and that's the first time the man's ever hugged me.
Well, good. I'm glad he did. Uncle Snorky gave you a hug, huh?
Yeah, I still think he was afraid Coda was coming out the door at him, but
Trying to get y'all on a soft spot here that's level so you can see all of it. Since you can't really see us, we got to give you something to look at. Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. Can't see the tent there.
yeah, the tent looks good. The tent looks like a house.
Yeah, but there you can see Goosebug, too, under the black flag.
Yeah.
The porch light on the camper. With the shotgun in your mouth.
That wasn't a very good place to start.
Huh?
Wasn't a very good place to start.
Welcome to my house. These are my people. That's right, y'all can't hear it.
Yeah, you can a little bit.
People.
Charlene sent the other one she sent the other day in West Virginia.
I'm not sure if I remember that. Oh, this battery pack. Just stick in my pocket. I'm trying to put it on the leg, on the tripod on the bottom, and it just slides off. Now it's going to keep out, go dinky dink.
Anyway, back to the pictures that she sent you in West Virginia. What did you think? I guess.
I might have to read. I might have to look again. Between the pictures you've been showing me, and we've been looking at pictures here in camp. And
Yeah.
the last few days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sorting through 60 years. Well, more than that. Probably 200 years worth of pictures ever since they started taking pictures.
Oh, Express Media. Okay, I know where they're at. I'll go look again, Shirley. Devil in a glance, boy. You off your plans, boy. Told you not to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely check them out. I know I probably looked at them before, just don't remember. Actually, that's the reason I took a day and went up to the house, because I had to deprogram my brain for a day. That's the best way I know to put it. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
There's all of it. There we got them all. Only thing missing is blue, but we ain't got his colors put up yet. Check out that lightning array. You can see it on here. Little bitty light directly under the Gadsden part. I got your new lightning arrestor up on the panel. Got a big green light on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it there in the distance.
Yeah. Country, this is who I am. To my house. Yeah, we're gonna have stars all over the birds coming up around the trees, I think, pretty soon. Starting to get light over here behind. Yeah, lots of stuff been going on. I heard you giving a little report. Been making lots of good use of the skid steer. Still got it for about 10 days, I think. And I'm hoping by the time we have to take it back, I have at least 5 or 6 campsites for RVs cut out square and flat, fairly flat. Because next week we're going to get started on the next electric project, which is putting in putting in a new panel and pole with the new transformer on the other side of camp. So the road, right side, left side, both have power. So next week coming up, got a big load of gravel coming tomorrow to probably finish the parking lot. And we got Goosebug moved out at the tank dump finally. And while we had set the parking lot for today, I made a square level spot for him to sit. And that's soon to become the office. Oh, okay, Charlene, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when it's dark, I can read the chat pretty good.
Oh, that's cool. So she.
Oh no, that's not somebody by the fire. That's a piece of wood sticking in the barrel. It's sticking out. I can see what she means though. Looks like somebody real close to fire. I'll show you. There, we got the rest of the body in. Oh yeah, I got one leg here left. You got a pretty nice cut ring. You want it? Yep. You're up way too high because that's the one on exterior.
Great potato, this is great. It's raised in Kenya. Let's go. This is my team.
Get Frontier Fiber Internet and movies in the board code on us.
My own little firebug at work.
On the whole. .com.
But
You're gonna have to get Buddy a little bit extra covered tonight. He might get a little bit chilly.
one thing is they breathe. Sticks right.
The pecker.
Yeah, that's why I ain't I ain't no punkers got that. That's a water one. Poker, come up. Got me pulling up just at home. Yeah.
Probably, let's see, this is June 4th.
Okay, I'm back.
Maybe somewhere toward the end of June. I have to let things settle. I've got about 6 appointments this week I have to go to. So it'll probably be toward the end of the month. We'll get set up for another auction and hopefully be a little more organized this time and get a little bit more publicity out there for it. So we got a lot of great stuff that we do have here. We have the challenge coins that Shirlene has sent, and Mama Jen gave me some cute little necklaces, chokers that she made that are really nice. So have a variety of things. So
Well, I got a little something to do. As soon as you're ready to be here a lot more often, I've already planned to move everything out of up there that can be sold, and there's a place over here called Harper's Ferry Flea Market, indoor, outdoor, and probably be a place to get a booth weekends.
cool.
We get rid of all of it instead of just some of it.
Yeah, you have to put sideboards on the Moritz.
But yeah, we can do that. Yeah, better yet, we can buy a 12-foot box.
Hi, Debbie. Yeah.
Yeah, another trailer. That's right.
No, we're not buying another trailer. We're trailer poor now.
You just agreed to it.
We got more trailers than Blue can pull.
You can pull a footer, you just can't labor load. 25-foot beaver tail.
You'd have to put the other trailers on top of the flatbed.
We'll get them moved around when need be.
Yeah.
Got to hook up beaver tail tomorrow and get him out of the way. He's in the way for the next RV spot.
Okay.
I do a daytime stream tomorrow.
Well,
Gravel starts in, and I'm on a lot of work done on the skid steer. So,
I have to go to town tomorrow for several things, so I'll set up a stream before I go to town.
yeah, it'd be good. Yeah, Joe, that's the best way to get moose stuff, and we can get it. You know, a lot of the things that you did to us, we'll be able to get some real nice money out of it. So it'll be a lot better help that way. And it's something we can do. You know, we can Saturday, Sunday for a month or so, just make sure everything gets moved.
Saying I have to go to town tomorrow reminded me of some phone calls I had to make, so I had to write them down so I don't forget to make them.
I'd say that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Star's going to come back here in a minute. It's starting to get bigger. We'll have a bonfire. I'm going to guess a nice big bonfire coming up more than likely next weekend. And a couple of surprises to go with it.
No, it'll be cool.
Yeah, we're about to do some serious timbering here. Got quite a few trees to cut down. Getting ready for construction of the lodge. It's going to be the next big project, the lodge and the well.
Yeah. Yeah, we need an idea of a price from Tim on that little project.
I have to look. You have to come in first because I'm the one that gets the old one first. I'm let him know when. Of course, it's back in November, so I guess it's still.
Well, could be. It depends on how busy he is, I guess. Supply chain issues. Okay.
Flea market away. That ain't good.
Well, I want to thank everybody that was with us this evening.
Absolutely.
It was a good way to get my feet wet again, get back in the swing of things.
Yeah. We figured we'd build you a fire with you.
Yeah.
You get to see your pretty tent.
Yes, it looks good. All the lights and the flags and
Yeah, it's hard to believe those are only solar lights too.
yeah. What did Jan say? Well, we appreciate everybody that's been here with us this evening. We thank you for your support, continued support. Glad that you spent a little bit of your time with us this evening.
That's pretty good. 100%. This thing ain't even working.
So everybody be safe, be blessed. It sounds like the guys will be back on tomorrow during the day.
Give everybody a chance. Good night. Yeah, I hear you. Bleep, 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 bleep. There they are.
Good night, Dustin. Good night, Mama Jan.
There she is. Face.
Everybody be safe, be blessed. More later.
Looks good.
More later.
More later.
Love you. Bye.